Typically, dates and times stored within your database are very specific. Dates are usually specific to a particular day, and times are typically precise to the minute or second. But when it comes to evaluating or aggregating your data, you may want to look at it a little less granularly. When it comes time to query your data by month or year, Access provides a few simple ways to extract just the level of precision that you need from your date and time fields. Let's go ahead and create a query that explores some of our order details. I'm going to go Create and Query Design. Let's go ahead and add in our orders table by double-clicking and then closing the Show Table window. Now I'm going to add in the order ID here and the order date. I also want to get some information about the products that were ordered. So I'm going to go back up to Show Table, add in our products table, and then from there, I'm going to add in the name of the product that was ordered. Now, if I go ahead and just run this query as is, we'll see that we have down here at the bottom, after a brief calculation, 2,200 records. These are all of the products that were ordered. Let's go ahead and go back into Design View and make one small change here. I'm going to sort these products based off of their order date ascending. Now, if I go back in here, we'll see that we get a chronological record of our orders. Okay, let's go back into Design View and start working with our date and time values. In the next field over, I'm going to go over here to this blank one, and I'm going to right-click and go to press Build. This will launch the Expression Builder. Inside of the Expression Builder, down here in this Expression Elements section, I'm going to expand this Functions group and then go into Built-in Functions. Within there, there's a category called Date and Time. And inside of here are a whole bunch of date and time functions that we can use to modify the dates that's stored in the Order Date column. I'm going to scroll through here and find a function called Year. It's way down here at the bottom. When you find it, double-click on it, and that'll add the syntax up here to the top. It also tells us what this function is going to do down here on the bottom. It tells me that it's going to return an integer containing a whole number representing the year. All we need to do is feed it a single value. It has one argument called date. If you click on the word date, that highlights, so the next thing that we double-click on down here in the bottom is going to replace that argument. Let's go ahead and find our order date values. I can go into the database folder here, into the tables, into our orders, and double-click on Order Date. That'll fill in the reference up here to complete our function. So the year function is going to be applied to whatever it finds in the Order Date column of the orders table. Let's go ahead and say OK. Access will give us an expression1 alias here, so let's go ahead and rename that. I'll highlight it, and I'm just going to type in year, because that's what this function is returning. Make sure you leave the colon in there so that it remains as an alias. Go ahead and say Run, and we'll see what happens. The year column here is displaying just the year of our order dates. So you can see all of these here were placed in 2008. And if I scroll down, we'll see orders that were placed in 2009 and 2010 and so on. Let's go back up into Design View. In the next column over, I want to explore a function called Month. I'm going to right-click, go back into our builder, into the Functions group, the Built-in Functions, Date and Times category, and then we'll scroll down until we find Month. Now we can read what the month function is going to do. It says it returns an integer specifying a whole number between 1 and 12, representing the month of the year. If I double-click on it, we'll see that we have a similar syntax to the year function. All we need to do is feed it a date. So click on the word date here. I'll go into my database, into the tables, into the orders table, and I'll double-click on order date. That'll complete the function. Now instead of adding in the alias on our own later, what we can do is just put it in right here. So this function is returning the month, and I'll type in the colon. So there's our alias. Go ahead and say OK, and press Run. Now we have a numerical value that is just the month extracted from our date. If you look through the date and time functions in the Expression Builder, you'll notice that there are additional functions that'll do the same thing for days, weekdays, hours, minutes, and seconds. All of these functions work exactly the same way. So now that we have our dates decomposed into a separate year and month column, what can we do with it? Well, we can apply criteria just like we can with any other column of data. So let's say that I wanted to find just the orders that were placed in 2014. In the last movie, we saw how we can specify a range of dates on the order date. But now that we have the year extracted by itself, all we need to do is go into its criteria and type 2014. Let's go ahead and run to see the results. On the bottom, you can see I have 172 orders that were placed in 2014. Now what if I wanted to filter this to just a specific month? I'll go back into Design View, and in the month criteria, I'm going to type in the number 5 to indicate all of the orders that were placed in May. Now we're looking at just the orders that were in 2014, and within those, just the orders that were placed in May. Let's go ahead and press Run, and we'll see down here that I have 43 orders that were placed in May of 2014. So both of those are examples of criteria that we could have applied using our order dates, we would have just specified that we wanted the dates between May 1st, 2014 and May 31st, 2014. Let's go ahead and go back into Design View. Now what we can do here that would have been really difficult by filtering just on our order date is to find all of the orders that were placed in the month of May, regardless of what year. In order to do that, all I need to do is delete the 2014 criteria from year. And now we're just filtering to the orders that were placed in May of any year. Let's go ahead and say run. And we'll see that we have 209 orders that were placed in the month of May, regardless of whether it was 2009, if I scroll down, 2010, 11, 12, and so on. Let's go ahead and go back into Design View. And now that we've extracted the years and months from our dates, we can also use these with our totals or aggregate queries. Let's rearrange this a little bit. I'm going to come down here and delete the May criteria, this number 5 that's in the criteria below month. I'm also going to drag year and month. I'll highlight both of those, and then click and drag those to go to the very beginning. I'm going to delete the order date column by selecting that and pressing delete, and I'm also going to delete the name column. So that just leaves me with the year the order was placed, the month that it was placed, and the order ID. If I run it, we'll see that we're back to our 2,200 records down here on the bottom. Okay, let's turn this into a totals query. I'll come over here on the ribbon and press this Sigma button here. That'll turn on our totals row. By default, everything goes to group by. So it's grouping all of our years together, and then grouping all of our months together, and then grouping all the similar IDs together. Instead, what I want to do is change this order ID from group by to count. Now we'll group our years together. Within the year, we'll get a group for each of our months, and then within that group, we'll count up how many orders occurred in each month. If I press run, I'll see that I have column for year, and it looks like I only had orders in December of 2008. But in December of 2008, I had 34 orders. In 2009, here are those records, and you can see that I had orders in every single month of 2009, and here are the values of how many orders happened in each month. Let's go back into Design View. If we remove the month from the equation here, I'll select the top here and press delete. Now we're just going to group our orders by year and then count up how many orders occurred in each year. Let's go ahead and press run, and you'll see here are all the years that we have data present in our database, and for each year, how many orders were placed. So in order to maintain flexibility, it's always best to store data based upon the finest level of detail that you could ever conceivably require. Using queries, it's easy enough to strip away or condense the dates into larger, less specific groups. With these date and time functions, Access makes it easy to see exactly what you need and nothing that you don't.